the more prosperous he is. So there's nothing wrong. That is human excellence as it is popularly understood. But where does spirituality come in? Should we or do we have to use spirituality to increase our human excellence? So this is a big debate. Lot of spiritual pursuits that you see in the world is more concerned in spirituality if it enables them human excellence in the material world. That is why we see so many temples flourishing, so many churches, so many mosques. You ask a person why he goes to these temples, why he goes to these churches and places of worship, invariably they will say that we want to lead a happy life. There's a lot of unhappiness in our life. Not because we have not tried. We have tried hard enough using all our skills, all our possibilities, human possibilities. But then we found that there is a higher power which we do not know. We call him God or whatever deity we worship. We go to these temples with the intention of solving our human problems, our material problems. Because we have tried for human excellence in the material world, using our education, using our all the skills that we have developed as because of our education, because of our upbringing, because of our training. So human excellence everybody has, and he tries to be very happy using all those skills to lead a prosperous and a decent life. And that is not a big problem because everybody does it. In fact, majority of us do it. But then why spirituality for human excellence? There are other ways you can develop these skills by going to the best institutions, to going to the best teachers, to going to the professional people who can help you develop their skills. Why go to a temple? Why go to these places of worship? Has spirituality anything to do with our material human excellence? That's why a lot of atheists believe that we don't need God. In fact, England is a place where this atheism, there is a famous person who wrote a book, The God Delusion. Richard Dawkins, he is from Oxford. So he said God is a delusion because we don't need God. And he was perhaps a bit honest also. He did not understand spirituality, but at least he felt that we should not mix these two things up. Material excellence, he says, you can see with your own eyes, I go to a good university, I get a good job, and as far as I can try and work hard, I can be successful. Because he thought spirituality is basically to increase our comforts and lead a better life. That is because he saw, and that is why perhaps he got disillusioned with religion. And he said instead of praying to some god, you rather work hard. In fact, Swami Vivekananda also said this. He said, why do you bless, he was once asked, and he said that instead of going to God for all these material things, it is better to be an atheist, because at least the atheist is an honest person. He is honest because he says, I can work out my destiny. In fact, Swamiji's, some of the lectures he gave to some of the youth of India especially, who believed in a false kind of godliness, he said it is better to believe in yourself before believing in God. Have faith in yourself. So that inspired a lot of people. So Richard Dawkins wrote this book, The God Delusion. But calling God a delusion just because you do not understand the real purpose of spirituality is also wrong. That is why another famous scientist from Cambridge wrote another book to counter him. He was a deeply religious person, though he was a scientist, Rupert Sheldrake. So as a counter to this, he wrote another book, The Science Delusion. He said, science has its own delusion. Has science discovered everything as it discovered truth, even material truth? There's a famous, I forgot his name, he's also from Oxford. He got Nobel Prize also. Once somebody told him that, are you a materialist? Do you believe in God or do you believe in spirituality? He said, don't call me a materialist. This is coming from a scientist. He says, don't call me a materialist because I don't know what matter is. He was very honest. He says, when I go deep into the matter, go deep into the study of matter, when I go deeper and deeper, I find that matter vanishes at a certain stage. It appears as wavelets of energy. So, how can you say I am a materialist? Because I do not know what matter is. So he was also very honest. He said that I don't know, I may not believe in spirituality, I do not know what spirit is, because that is because of the Semitic idea. Most of the Semitic religions, Christianity, Islam and all, for them spirit means the mind. They don't accept something which is beyond body and mind, the subtle body, that is the spirit. For them, anything that is not matter, not perceivable matter, is spirit. But Vedanta says it is neither matter, it is neither body, matter, or neither the mind. Mind is also considered to be subtle matter. It is a subtle matter, according to Vedanta. For them, spirit is the consciousness, the principle within us, and that is what all the Upanishads, all the Vedantic texts, they emphasize that this Brahman or Atman, the subtle existence, which is known as the spirit. So spirituality, which is based on this word spirit or consciousness, just means holding on to the eternal things, eternal reality, not things. It is an eternal reality underlying all these changing phenomena, and what we call human excellence is in this material world, and that is anitya because it doesn't last. It has some value, definitely money has value, property has value, but one day, like Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad, will ask this question. Nachiketa was wise, so he asked this question when he was 12 or 13 years old. We postpone it, we ask this question when we are almost 80, 90, and when we start thinking of our death, then we start thinking, what did I do in this anitya? Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. That is the eternal solution given by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. According to Swami Vireshwaranji, once he was asked, many problems were asked. He said, oh, this is the problem, that is the problem. I am a great student of Gita. In fact, that gentleman also started a Gita Mandir in Manipal, which is near Mangalore. So he was very keen. He wanted to invite a lot of Swamis to speak so that they are enlightened. So Gita was a very favorite book of his. And he was asking a lot of problems. And Vireshwaranji just smiled and said, see, Gita is not something to be understood and studied, but it has to be internalized. So what is the solution Gita gives or Krishna gives? Why don't you obey? The solution is already given. You don't have to ask me this question. Again and again you are asking me how to solve your problems, how to solve your depression, how to solve your various problems. He says Sri Krishna has given an eternal solution once for all humanity, not just Hindus, not just Arjuna. He says Anityam Asukham Lokam. Anityam means this world by its very nature, we cannot change it, is changing. Everything changes. Our body changes. We are getting older and older. We are not going to get younger. And when one day, one fine morning, we will die, or fine day we will die, and then we'll leave everything that we strove for to accumulate things, will be left behind. We sometimes are concerned about who will get what we have spent so much of hard work to earn. Who will get it? What will happen to that? Obviously you can't take it with you. As Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has this doubt. He was thinking of conquest and winning, and after winning there will be this huge empire. But he knew that once I die, somehow was wise enough to understand, once I die, this empire, all this hard work will be nothing. So he asked this question, is it the same with spirituality? You are asking me to do all this. Second chapter, third chapter, he is telling him, do this sadhana, that sadhana. Okay, I do it. I listen to you. I do that sadhana. And say I die before realizing the goal. That is possible. We may not all succeed, just as we may not succeed in achieving all our material goals. We may not succeed in our spiritual goal. One day I may die. So like leaving all the material things that I have earned behind, all my spirituality, will it vanish like the clouds dispersing? He is asking this question. It's a very logical question because people think of the future. Just as they want to see that the hard money they earned goes to the right person, at least if he has children, it should go to them. So he writes a will. At least he thinks somebody will benefit from my hard work and they should be my own people. But that idea that all the hard work that I have done has to be left behind, that continues, and that idea, Arjuna says, all my spirituality, spiritual practices, the spiritual wealth that I get by practicing spirituality, what will happen to that? Will it also be left behind like all the houses, property, everything? He says, no, it's not the same. Sri Krishna says, you will be born, all that spirituality is the only thing that will be carried forward in your next life. You will be perhaps born in a yogi's family, you will be born in a wealthy family where you can continue your spiritual practices. Because you were trying to earn some spiritual merit by practicing spirituality, that's the only thing for subtle body. All the achievements, all your intelligence, all your property, all your wealth, everything will be left behind. But don't worry about your spiritual practices. The causal body, the Karana Sharira, which you will inherit again. Suppose you don't reach the goal. You may need a few more births. So you will be born again, but you will be, if you might hope. In fact, one of the spiritual gurus, I don't want to name him, he says you deposit all our wealth in the trust that we have formed, and by some strange power, in your next birth we can identify you and give your property back to you. It is ridiculous, I mean it's just fooling. So he says we can identify because in next birth there will be certain signs, we have the power to see who was born and this property belonged to you. So it's just a way to fool people and take all their wealth. Something will be kept reserved for you. So it's impossible. Material wealth, once it is gone, once you die, everything is left behind. Now who will get it? Whether deserving people get it or undeserving people will grab it, that is not in your hands. But what is in your hands is the sadhana that you do. So, anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. So, don't go after these eternal things. Anityam. And because they are anitya, they are asukham. Ultimately, it will bring you suffering. That is what Bhagavan Buddha also said. Bhagavan Buddha's whole philosophy is not belief in God. He doesn't believe in God. He says we don't need God. We know that because this anitya world is moving all the time, it can give only asukha or dukkha. He calls it dukkha. So anityam asukham lokam. This world by its very nature, this material world, the world that we see around us, by its very nature is anitya. If you know that, bhajas imam prapya, having got this, bhajasvamam, just pray to me, pray to the eternal spirit, eternal Brahman, who is in the form of Krishna in that case, or in any other god or Ishta. We don't say that the god that we worship, the Ishta that we worship belongs to the world. He cannot be God if he belongs to the world. He is spirit, as Jesus said, I am the spirit and my kingdom is the kingdom of spirit. Unfortunately, the emperors of the Roman emperors did not understand. When he said he is the emperor of the spiritual world, they thought he is trying to maybe replace him. So he had him crucified. because they do not understand what is this emperor or the emperor of the spiritual world. So, spirituality in brief means spirituality for human excellence. We'll come to the topic now. It just means using the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge that we get from all the sacred texts like Bhagavad Gita, like Vedanta and other Upanishads, using it to achieve true human excellence. Then comes the question, what is human excellence? Because we have, as I said, all of us have some idea of human excellence. Human excellence for some may be intense ability to concentrate on skillfully on your particular professional job so that you can become successful. That is also human excellence, and we need it. We need it. So many spiritual techniques, meditation, are used just to improve this human excellence so that we can be successful. We need less efforts to succeed in all our professions or all our jobs, all our business. Whatever we do, we need concentration. So even for secular excellence or secular human excellence, we need it. But spirituality is not the spirituality should not be used, or that's not the main purpose of spirituality. It can help us achieve some human excellence, but it is just wasting our spiritual effort to serve a material purpose, which we can do even otherwise. God has given us intelligence, God has given us the capacity, the willpower to work hard. So work hard and you will pass exams. You don't tell a child to go and pray. That will be actually deceiving him. To tell a child, that is what we unfortunately see. Praying is not bad, but one has to tell him that one will succeed. Human excellence is assured if you work hard. Swami Vivekananda said, first faith in yourself. Faith in God, or that so-called faith in God, to help you tide over all the difficulties, simple, silly, material difficulties, is not spirituality. This thing has to be very clear. So when we talk of human excellence, it means spiritual excellence. So how will spiritual excellence help us? So in Vedanta there is a very famous principle. What is the goal of spirituality? One rishi is, or one great rishi is answering this question. It is a for everything, whatever we do in life. There is a famous book by Simon Sinek. He wrote a book. Of course, it is for success in the world. So he made a study of all the great 1,000 people. It's a very well-researched book. That's what he says. Not only successful because of the wealth they earned, but successful people means those who really contributed something to the world. Such people he interviewed, and he found a common factor which motivated them, and they became successful, and they continued to be successful. It's not just earning some money and losing it the next day. That anybody can do, but really successful people who worked with a purpose. He said they all began their life with a why. So he has named this book. If you read that book, it's a very interesting book, though it is from a material standpoint. But his goal is the same as, not his goal, his method is the same as what Vedanta uses. He says always begin with a why. In Vedanta, there is something known as prayojana. Before you start reading anything, Bhagavad Gita or any scripture, they will ask you, first determine the prayojana. Why are you studying Bhagavad Gita? Just because my friends are studying? No. Just because it will help me in my day-to-day life? Yeah, it may help you, but that is not the goal. The goal of reading Bhagavad Gita, the real goal, or real goal of reading any scripture, spiritual scripture, is defined in a one single line. It's very nicely summed up. If that is the goal, then the scripture will help you. They say, Atyantika Dukkha Nivrutti and Parama Sukha Prapti. So every human being, whether he is from India, whether he studies Vedanta, Christianity, Islam, any religion, every human being wants human excellence for two things. Atyantika dukkha nivriti. Nobody wants to be sorrowful. Nobody wants misery. If misery is there, they want to solve it. So Buddha also preached a way out of suffering. Every religion teaches you the real way out of suffering. So Atyantika dukkha nivriti. They could have just said dukkha nivriti. Atyantika means total removal of all sorrows. For us, for children, he may be sorrowful because he doesn't get his chocolates. If he grows up, he may be sorrowful because he doesn't have a Mercedes car. So our ideas of sorrow also changes. So that is why the Rishi says, Atyantika dukkha nivruti. Atyantika means total sorrow. Take any sorrow. Some people may be sorrow because his neighbor is rich. He has no particular sorrow, but jealousy will make him. It's a mental state. So there are hundreds of reasons for our sorrow. Some people you just ask them, they just are depressed. They don't even know why they are depressed and they are suffering. They come to you, then how can you solve that problem? Because they themselves do not know why they are depressed. They say, I'm very unhappy, I'm depressed, maybe because of loneliness, maybe because they don't have the idea of solitude. So they take solitude to be loneliness, and loneliness becomes a problem with all the wealth at your disposal. So the sorrow has 100 causes, thousands of causes for our sorrow. So that is why the scripture says the goal of all spiritual life should be, or all human excellence that we develop as a result of our spiritual practices, is should be Atyantika dukkha nivrutti. That is the one goal, first goal. Second goal is Parama Sukha Prapti. Not just Sukha, or he would have said Sukha Prapti. But the Rishi says Parama Sukha Prapti. So, see, if this is an idea of Sukha, is there no higher happiness than that? There is definitely something higher. So you go after that. A millionaire is not happy with his million. He thinks that if I have 1 billion, I'll be more happy. So that way, that tempts him to go for higher and higher. He is not satisfied with what he has, till he finally understands that there is no end to this. I still remain unhappy after 10 billion because there will be somebody higher earning more than me. So if I spend my whole life also, I will not be happy. So that is why Parama Sukha, then if he is wise enough, he understands then he listens to the scriptures. He listens to the wise people. He listens to Vedanta, Gita, the Bible. All the religions will tell you the goal to Parama Sukha Prapti, the highest bliss, salvation, mukti, moksha. They are all different. Nirvana. These are not empty goals. They are real goals, given to us by great people whom people respect even today. If somebody had written a book like Simon Sinek, perhaps they will forget him after 50 years, 100 years. But Buddha, Krishna and all these great Upanishads, the authors, whoever wrote them or whoever composed them, they are still respected because they have given the eternal solution. As Sri Krishna gives here, Anityam Asukham Lokam Imam Prapya Bhajasvamam. So that person was asking Swami Vireshwaranji this question again and again. No, tell me some other method. He said, you have to believe in Krishna. If you don't believe Krishna has given you the best solution, then what's the use of saying I love Gita, I love to study the Gita? You first have faith in Krishna. If he had a better solution, then he would have told you, he would not have deceived you. Sri Krishna has given a solution and he says this is the ultimate solution. So why don't you just follow it and see? If you don't have faith, it's a different question. You don't believe in Gita, you don't believe in anything, then God alone can help you. But if you say that you love Gita, you love this scripture, and still do not listen to what Krishna says, then what's the use? So, practical spirituality can lead to true human excellence, where we know how to negotiate our worldly problems, not just simple problems. There are many problems we can solve with our own effort, but there are atyantika dukkha nivritti. There are certain sorrows, we do not know the source of those sorrows because they are deeply embedded in our samskaras, karana sharira. Physical problems, we know how to solve it because they are in front of us. We take the help of friends, we take the help of law, we take the help of the money that we have. We somehow try to solve these problems. We don't need to go to God for a simple problem like a toothache. We can go to the dentist. There were one interesting incident, I keep repeating this. There was a person who was a great devotee of Hanuman. So he used to read Hanuman Chalisa and whatever he could, and he used to read. So he came, it's an actual incident that happened, and it was told by the Swami. I used to visit Bombay Ashrama when I was in college. So he said today one interesting person came. And then he was very keen. He wanted to distribute Hanuman. He said, don't you have copies? I want to distribute this Hanuman Chalisa. So then he asked him, he was curious, why do you read Hanuman Chalisa? You are wonderful. It's a great thing. You should read it. But why do you read it? Can you just answer me? So he said, this happened and he saved me. This happened, he saved me. Hanuman saved me. That is why I am having faith in him. Then he said, I'm going away, but my area is full of robbers and thieves. But I am not worried, Swamiji, because my house will be protected by Hanuman. Then that Swami got angry. Said, I do Hanuman Chalisa daily. That is why my house will be protected by Hanuman. Said, you are a fool. Do you think Hanuman is your watchman? Why do you convert such a great devotee of Rama? Hanuman would do nothing other than pray to Rama. He knew nothing other than Rama. Even Sita, when she gave a necklace, he just saw there is no Rama in that. He just threw it away as a worthless piece of jewelry. So Hanuman, who could not think of anything but Rama, such a devotee, you are praying to him to watch your house, your silly house, as a watchman. Why don't you put a nice lock? Put a nice lock, tell your neighbors to just keep a watch. You can't trivialize Hanuman and such a great devotee of Rama. If you do Hanuman Chalisa, pray to Hanuman that you get devotion as he had for Rama, you have for your Ishta, maybe Krishna, maybe Shiva or any other god. You can pray, that is what Hanuman will be happy to grant you. But you should not pray and for your silly problems. And don't be under the illusion that Hanuman will leave Rama and come and watch your house. He is not a watchman. Why do you read it? It is absolutely ridiculous to worship Hanuman for this. If you are worshipping, you are insulting Hanuman. Hanuman is a great devotee of Rama. Read his life. That's why he said, you may be reciting this Hanuman Chalisa, but just see how much devotion he had, how much he sacrificed for the sake of Rama. So it is his devotion that should inspire you. It is the devotion of Hanuman that should inspire you. So, when we use spiritual ideas or spiritual ideals for our selfish purposes, then it does not lead. It may help us indirectly by having some kind of concentration, which will help us in developing some kind of human excellence. But that is a byproduct. You should not, a person who practices spirituality, obviously he will be a man of concentration. He will do everything perfectly. So naturally, its byproduct will be that he will do the things that he is normally doing with lot of concentration. But that is not the goal of life. So what is human excellence? As I said, we come back to the same question. When you say spirituality for human excellence, first of all, we should know what this human excellence is. So we have to follow a systematic analysis of this idea of human excellence, because as I said, it changes. For a person who is desiring wealth, creating more and more wealth is, according to him, the highest human excellence he can have. If he can make billions, then he will say that is the height of human excellence, because for him money is the goal. If somebody is a PhD or a scientist, his excellence would be to his idea of human excellence would be to get a Nobel Prize in his own field. And he will not rest till he achieves that kind of human excellence. He would not be happy with his PhD or some job in his own university. He would strive for more and more excellence. So his idea of human excellence is different. He may not bother about money, but he will bother about his Nobel Prize, if at all he able to get it. He can achieve that. So all our efforts in different kinds of human excellences is not the overall human excellence, because human personality, we have to analyze it this way. When you say spirituality for human excellence, it should give us Atyantika Dukkha Nivruti and Parama Sukha Prapti. As I said, total removal of all our sorrows, not just our physical sorrows, not just our small problems, but our deeper problems, deeper anxieties, deeper worries. They can also cause problems without any apparent physical issue or worldly issue. A person can go on worrying. He can have anxieties. That is because of some deep-rooted problem, deep-rooted samskara in the subtle body or the causal body, which props up and makes him unhappy in spite of all the wealth. Why do so many rich people are unhappy? Money could give us happiness, or name, fame could give us happiness. There was a famous writer. It was a very popular book when we were in college. It was known as The Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It was a famous book in those days, which inspired a lot of people. That book sold the American dream. Said America is the land of hope, and young youths in the college, they would rather read this book than any other book. Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, how to make easy money, how to go have a career. In those days, most of the Indians had this American dream. Anywhere other than India, you have a greater chance. So some books promise that. But if you look at the biography of that lady who wrote this book and inspired millions of youths, I can tell you, it was a bestseller in those days. Every youth used to read this. Atlas Shrugged, and there are so many other books she wrote, series of books, but poor lady, her personal life was so sad that she herself committed suicide with all the wealth and everything. So there should be some cause. Why a lady who could inspire, why an author who could inspire so many people, selling them the dream to excel in life, the dream to make money, the dream to lead happy lives. Herself, if she is unhappy, then something is wrong. That is why when it comes to spirituality, any religion, you have to make sure that you are studying the authentic sources. You don't have to read books written on spirituality by any Tom, Dick and Harry. That will confuse you. That will confuse us. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, read books written which belong to an authentic spiritual tradition, which is lasting for hundreds of years, thousands of years. The Upanishads, the Gita, the Bible. Go to the original verses. What did Jesus Christ say? Not what others interpret, what others' interpretation is there. So you have to go back to the sources. You go back to Bhagavad Gita, go back to Vedanta, Upanishads, go back to Bible, go back to Buddhist original words of Buddha, go back to the Guru Granth Sahib, and so many innumerable religions have given some basic ideas about spirituality which leads to true human excellence. And they are time tested. All these great religions, the gurus and the acharyas, the avatars and prophets, when they come with a eternal message, showing the way to spirituality which will lead to true human excellence. Not just physical excellence, not just mental excellence, but true overall excellence, that is spiritual excellence, which leads to spiritual excellence, which makes a person not only prosperous but peaceful and happy. Because atyantika dukkha nivrutti and parama sukha prapti. So that is the goal of all scripture. All scriptures say that the highest goal is to be eternally happy, eternally peaceful, eternally blissful. Is it possible if you have limited excellence in life? Limited excellence will give you limited benefits. You may end up with a professional job, you may become a millionaire or a billionaire, you may have a very decent life, decent cars, decent living, all your health may be secure, all the other things in life, whatever you want, whatever minimum you want, you may be assured of that. But peace is not assured. Peace or happiness, true happiness comes when one is totally satisfied. So that requires spiritual development. That is why they say spirituality for human excellence. It means the practices or the techniques of spiritual practices as given by our great, ancient, authentic spiritual traditions, whichever religion it may be. If it is authentic, if it has come from the source, the original source, the prophets, the avatars, the gurus, you can take it for granted that they will never misguide us. None of these spiritual masters or spiritual emperors, I would call them, will ever misguide us. So they should be our guiding principles, because it is a time-tested thing. Say hundreds and thousands and millions of people, followers, cannot be wrong. Maybe our understanding of our own scripture may be wrong, and we may be led to some misguided action or misguided deeds based on those principles. But those principles, the eternal principles, if you compare all religions, they are the same. Spiritual content or core of every religion is the same. As even Jesus Christ said, that it is the spirit that should triumph over matter. Swami Vivekananda was once asked by a Western disciple. He said, our countries, the European countries in those days, they were far more advanced materially. So, and he warned these people. Swami Vivekananda, when he came, he had the courage to warn these people that with all its material developments and progress and colonies that they have established everywhere, I can tell you, Europe is sitting on the top of a volcano. He told this to his Western disciples. Imagine, the heart of London. In 1896, before the two world wars, he said, unless Europe gives up its material ways and takes to spirituality as Christ advised them, as Buddha advised them, as so many other religious, Krishna and all those great prophets have advised time and again, unless they take to spirituality, the whole of Europe is like sitting, it's just like sitting on a volcano and it's ready to burst. And he predicted the two world wars, which you see, the two world wars, immense destruction. People lost faith in religion as it was practiced, because people did not understand the core spirituality behind those religions. So that is why people were disillusioned, and atheism became more and more popular, because they thought religion is not solving our problems. In fact, they are creating problems. But spirituality doesn't cause problems. It is wrongly understood religion which is not spirituality. The spiritual core is always difficult to find, and for that we have to go back to the original sources. If we want to understand Buddhism, we have to go to Buddha's words. If we want to understand Christianity, you have to go back to Christ's words. If you want to understand Hinduism, you have to go back to the words of Sri Krishna, the original words. So, spirituality, the core of spirituality says that human personality is a graded personality. It starts with the body. There are 5 levels of human excellence according to the Taittiriya Upanishad. It's a wonderful book. They say we don't say that physical happiness or physical excellence is not necessary. We need it. We need science, we need technology that has made, medical sciences that has made our life more comfortable, more happier, so that we can follow our spiritual pursuits. Earlier we were struggling with so many physical problems, material problems. Science has definitely contributed. That is why Swami Vivekananda, he gave 2 nice definitions. When he was asked, civilizational progress is only in Europe, that's what the European disciples told him. He said, that is not civilizational progress. He said, I would define civilizational progress as the progressive reading of spirit into matter, the progressive reading of consciousness into matter. That civilization where more and more number of people practice spirituality or hold on to this eternal consciousness which they call God. If more and more people, real people who practice spirituality, not just religion, if more and more people are there in any civilization, that civilization has progressed more. So that is the definition he gave. The more you read spirit into matter, the more you progressive reading of spirit into matter. So every day we have to analyze whether our spirituality is making us more materialistic or more spiritual. If it makes us more and more spiritual, it will not harm our human excellence, the excellence that we need to survive in this world. In fact, it will enhance it. But at the same time, it will give us peace of mind. It will give us contentment. It will give us a proper philosophy or attitude towards people, towards other people, towards our own life, towards our own family. Because if spirituality does not solve our problems, our silly problems in our own family, how can it solve the world problems? We talk of world peace, we talk of stopping the wars. We can't stop small wars that take place in our own small family or even between relatives. If spirituality was there, why would these things happen? It will help us to develop an excellence where you will rather live peacefully than quarrel. If one advances spirituality, then the only sign is it should show it in his life. If he is making enemies all the time, then what's the use? He is not seeing the unity behind this diversity. One of the principles is trying to see unity in diversity. That is the goal of Vedanta, the goal of all religion. That we have to see, people see diversity and quarrel. In one of the youth conventions in London, there was a one young boy from Cambridge University. He read a very important portion and then was trying to explain, and he based his whole small 5-minute presentation on this. I was surprised, coming from a university boy. He said, I read one interesting line of Vivekananda. He said, when you see the ocean, a very ocean with full of lot of waves and cyclones and other things, if you just go deep, it is all peaceful. But at the surface there is a lot of trouble, lot of waves, a big wave coming and gobbling the other waves, tsunamis and all those things are happening at the surface. But nothing impacts the bottom of the ocean. So he quoted this from Vivekananda. He said, spirituality teaches you to see the ocean, not the wave. If you see diversity, we have to live in diversity. We have to live with the waves. We have to swim in the waves. We have to negotiate the waves. But the better way of negotiating the waves is to dive deep. There you will find everything peaceful. Everything. The ocean doesn't cause problems. It is the waves at the surface of the ocean all these troubles are. So spirituality is learning how to dive deep within our own personalities and touch the real human excellence which is within. We want excellence outside, fine, it is fine. But you have to also remember that your excellence will disturb somebody else. Your prosperity will make your neighbor jealous, will make your neighboring country jealous. You have to negotiate that. So diversity is okay, diversity is fine. Otherwise, we as diverse people, we have to live together. You may follow one religion, another person may follow another religion, and one may be an engineer, another may be a doctor. For that reason, we don't have to make diversity a big issue and quarrel. It will happen if we are at the surface. If we are at the surface, we will see big waves, small waves, and a very disturbed surface of the ocean, which is always creating problems. But spirituality will enable you now and then in your personal life, in your collective life, in your community life also. That is why you see Buddha emphasized when Buddha said the development, the human excellence should be subjective. You solve your problem, then all other problems are solved, because that will impact others. You go deep within, you can't solve the world problems. The very nature of the world is there will be clashes. You know that famous book by Samuel Huntington. He said the whole history of the world is clash of civilizations. Each civilization trying to say we are supreme than the other, and then there will be clashes. So he traces, he says history is nothing but these fights, these wars, clashes of civilizations. But if you ask Swami Vivekananda, he said, no, there need not be any clash. If a small minority of people try to understand what spirituality is, they need not see the waves, they have to see the depth of the ocean. At that point, we are all same, we are all peaceful. A diver who goes inside, he will not see the waves. He will not see the small waves or big waves fighting with each other, destroying each other. He will go deep within. As he goes deep within, that is the goal of all our scriptures. In fact, the young boy Nachiketa who goes to Yama, he says, I have a question now. Can you tell me what happens after death? With all these great things that are happening, that I am suppose I achieve greatness. In fact, Yama told him, I am giving you a lot of wealth, I am giving you all the power you need to live in this world happily. You take it and go away. Don't ask me this question of life and death. It's a very difficult question to answer. He says, no, I have come here to get my answer. Is there a way to immortality? I want to know what happens after death. I don't want to die like all other people, a lot of bank balance, and one day just die on the streets. I can't do that. I want to know. I am curious to know. So Yama is very happy. And he says, because you are a very good student or very good aspirant, now I'll tell you the secret. Why there is so much of unhappiness in this world. What is mortality? What is immortality? So the whole Kathopanishad, it's a beautiful book. It's just Gita also has the same ideas. Many verses are there in the Bhagavad Gita also. But Yama tells him, God has created us in such a way that we look outward. That means we look at diversity. Right from childhood, a child is taught to see diversity, to see competition, to be first in the class, always to fight with others, be the best, you don't care about what happens to the other person. So that diversity is the goal of life. Yama is telling this, the god of death is telling this boy, Paranchikhani Vyatrunat Swayambhu. God himself has unfortunately make us outward looking. We look from inside outward, and when we see so much of problems outside, it disturbs us. But a wise man, Kaschid Dhiraha, Dhira means a very wise and strong person, tries to look inward, and that is when spiritual life begins. He tries to see the depth of his own soul, where everything is peaceful, everything is calm. So all the prophets, all the saints, everybody in every tradition is saying, look at the God within. You have looked inside out for a long time and that has confused you. And your problems are increasing day by day. But repeat the name of the Lord, go within, and you will see everything is settled, everything is peaceful, everything is calm, everything is joyful. Just you have to change the direction. Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel also says, all the things that disturb us, they exist because your gaze is outward. You turn the whole light within, or you turn the gaze within, turn your attention within, and you will find a beautiful world opening out to you. That is spirituality. So when you try to focus on the divine principle within, and this is the essence of all religions, mind you. Even Jesus said, the kingdom of God is not outside, kingdom of God is within you. He is within us, within every one of us, irrespective of our caste, creed, religion, and faith. No religion in the world says that God is outside. God is always in the heart of our hearts. You see, everywhere you will find. The Bible, it says, the kingdom of God is within you. The whole kingdom of God, which we are seeking outside, there's no heaven outside, it's all inside. So, everywhere you will find the tradition telling us that we have to focus, we have to turn our attention within. And that is the only way. When we touch the spirit a little bit, touch our own consciousness, our true human excellence will start developing. We are very good in the external field, but we don't have a foundation. A little mishap, a little misunderstanding, a little quarrel will unsettle even the most intelligent of people. So much of misunderstanding, so much of lack of adjustment in our private lives. Forget between nations and between countries and groups and social groups, it is different. But even at a private individual level, a small unit as a home or a small community, we can't get together. We would rather focus on our disturbance, our differences, rather than be united. How difficult it is to unite people. You have experience in this world, you will see. That is excellence. To have diversely motivated people to stay together, that is only possible through spirituality. So without spirituality there can be no excellence. Diversity everybody appreciates, everybody wants. The moment you start a small group doing something, there will be subgroups and they want to do it their way. They want to do it in a different way, you want to do it in a different way. Can we not even do such a simple thing in the name of spirituality to unite all these groups? Let us give up our individual differences. We may have individual differences. Every member of the family is different. Every member of any social group will be different. God has created us different. So why not look at the spirit within? There we are not different. There we are the same. So this is one of the practical ideas about human excellence. Human excellence cannot be practiced or cannot be cultivated if there is no internal excellence. This internal spirituality is that which enhances our human excellence. In spite of the difference, how to live together, how to maintain that unity in the midst of diversity. There is diversity. There will be diversity as long as there will be diversity within the family, there will be diversity within the community, there will be diversity when you are dealing with different religious groups, there will be diversity when you are in different nationalities, different countries. And you see all the trouble that we see in the world outside is not because we don't have human excellence. Everybody is excellent in his own way. But how to search for this unity in the midst of diversity? That is a big challenge, and that only spirituality can address. So we don't have to disagree with people. We can still establish a kind of spiritual unity in spite of our diversity. External diversity we will have to learn to ignore. So that spirituality develops another kind of excellence in us. We excel individually, but if we want to excel in a group or in a social group or in a religious group or in a particular country, to stop the divisive forces, we have to establish this spirituality within. Then you see the spiritual core of others. That is what Sri Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever adharma predominates, what does adharma mean? Adharma doesn't mean cheating or killing or doing all those things. When you see diversity, naturally you will disagree with your brother. You can't work with your brother. Your own brother, forget within your family. So because you are seeing that diversity, that is adharma. What was the war about? The whole Mahabharata war was about cousins. They had the same guru, same Dronacharya taught all of them. They were very good friends when they were together, when they were young. So how did they quarrel? Because as they grew up, their human excellence, both were excellent. Duryodhana was as excellent a warrior as Arjuna, like Bhima. If you see, for example, Dronacharya taught them both. And then still he says, Duryodhana decided to disagree and he said, no, I can't rule with these people. I want my own kingdom. That is how the whole war started. That little diversity they could not adjust. Though Sri Krishna tried to reconcile these cousins, they were not enemies. So they came together, they could not come together in spite of having these great spiritual values taught to them by the same Guru. So they had to quarrel, they had to settle on a battlefield, kill each other, and finally they destroyed themselves. Destroyed a majority of the people. Good, very healthy, good people who would have ruled the country so nicely. But anyway, Sri Krishna then says, Yada yada hi dharmasya. Dharma glani means quarreling over diversity. I have a big group, then we divide into two groups, then we divide into further groups. Even countries are divided, societies are divided. That is because of adharma. That is what Sri Krishna said. You were cousins, you were ruling together, you could have made a compromise. Pandavas and Kauravas, they're cousins. So how could you quarrel and how could such a great battle take place? That is because Sri Krishna says, we look at diversity. We have human excellence, but we do not know how to use that human excellence. Duryodhana had human excellence. He tells Krishna when he is about to die, when Bhima kills him, he says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrutti. I know what is dharma, but unfortunately I cannot practice it. Then he says, Janami adharmam. I know what is adharma, but I don't know. I am always following adharma. I am always quarreling. I am always jealous of my cousins. I can't adjust with them. And that is led to my downfall. I know what is good, but I can't follow it. I know what is bad or adharma, but I can't avoid doing it. So that is our predicament. Our human excellence would be to find out what is dharma in our life, what is adharma in our life, in our limited life. Forget the world. We are not here to change the world or change society also. If we know what is dharma in our life, what is adharma in our life, human excellence, spirituality will help us to be an excellent choice, develop an excellent choice-making instrument. That is known as buddhi. Every human being has what is known as buddhi. Buddhi means not intelligence. It is not intelligent skills. Buddhi means making the right choices in life. A small wrong choice will lead to a quarrel in one family. One wrong choice can destroy a family. One wrong choice can destroy a career. You make a wrong choice which is not based on wisdom, which is not based on practical reason. So that choice making capacity is known as buddhi. So spirituality means increasing your skill levels, your human excellence, to a level where you can choose correctly and rightly. Choosing rightly means following dharma, choosing wrongly or choosing the wrong thing is adharma. That is the whole difference between Kauravas and Pandavas. Kauravas were equally skilled, they had human excellence. All of them were great fighters, but they made a wrong choice. Pandavas made a right choice, Yudhishthira made a right choice. So that skill doesn't come through our secular education. That skill comes only through spirituality or spiritual education. And that spiritual education, unfortunately, is not part of our curriculum. It will not give us marks, it will not enable us to develop careers. So that human excellence you have to get from your own resources, an authentic tradition, whether it is Gita, Upanishads, Bible, or any other holy book, where these people, these great saints show you the way. They show us the way how to develop this buddhi through nama japa, through meditation, through prayers, through spiritual practices. So that is spirituality, not just going to places of worship. Because if we go to places of worship and fight over diversity, there will be diversity. No two people in even visiting the same, following the same faith, following the same temple, following the same religious practice will be same. That is why in Hinduism we have this idea of Ishta. You can have any god. Suppose you love Krishna, I love Rama, somebody else will say I love Shiva. That freedom is there. But for that reason, I should not fight because he is loving Shiva, I love Krishna, and let us not, if I disagree with them, then there is a problem. Because you are seeing diversity, you are not seeing the unity. So seeing unity in diversity is what is known as spiritual excellence. Spiritual excellence always tells us to be devoted to our God, which tells our God, our own conception of God, whichever God He is. And try to see the eternal, unchanging reality. As I mentioned in the beginning, anityam asukham, because it is changing, because it is always changing, always diverse. Asukham, and that is why it is asukha, that is why it is full of sorrow, full of quarrels, full of jealousy. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya. So the only way is to worship me, means worship the eternal Lord who is within. And if you worship your Lord or God, whichever God you believe in, perfectly, then it leads to spirituality, and then you see all the differences going away, and then peace comes. So peace is because of diversity, unity is because of spirituality. Spirituality, if it is real spirituality, leads to unity. That is a great sign. Somebody asked Swami Ramanathan, who was one of the presidents of our order. So he was asked, what is the sign of spirituality? He said the first sign of spirituality is peace of mind. No matter what you do in life, if you don't have peace, you may be the wealthiest person, you may be the most powerful person. But if you don't have your internal peace, what's the use? So one is peace of mind, another is that peace of mind percolates outside. And instead of seeing diversity, you try to adjust with all, you try to accommodate all, no matter how different he is. He is different because his excellence, the excellence that he pursued made him a different person. One is a sportsman, one may be engineer, one may be a doctor. For that reason, why should I disturb diversity? That is the beauty of Prakriti. Prakriti is diverse. No two flowers are same, no two trees are same. No two human beings will ever be the same, even though our fingerprints are different. Every fingerprint God has made unique. So let us appreciate that diversity and hold on to unity. And that is spirituality, and that spirituality, if we pursue, it leads to true human excellence. So thank you so much. I don't think I've taken more time.
No.
I have exceeded. It's 2:27. So if there are some questions you can ask.
Yeah. I've been sent this question, from
Yeah.
my friends. Yeah. So one of them, they said, look at Modi ji. He wanted to become spiritual and take sannyasa. So Atmasthananda said, no, you're not fit for this. He went away. And then,
No, there is a correction.
yeah, sorry.
I'll just tell you, because he himself told me.
Okay.
So not that he said you are not fit for this. He was just asked him to, because he was age of 17 he went. We don't take people below 18.
Oh, okay.
That is the limit. So he said you finish your studies and then come.
Okay. Then he
So
never
unfortunately he
came.
didn't do that. Not that he was not fit, or not that he had something else to do.
So,
That is actually quoted by many people. In the book also, I think I read it in one newspaper article. But I asked him specifically, when he was in Gujarat, I asked him, what did Atmasandji Maharaj tell you? So he specifically told that, he said, you finish, पढ़ के वापस आना, पढ़ाई complete करके आओ.
Okay.
So finish your studies and then come.
Because he
Because
went into this-
everybody is supposed to complete 18 years and finish whatever studies he has started. So he was told to complete his studies and come. Same thing in Belur Math also. He went and told Madhavananji, I have this conversation recorded privately.
Okay.
So he said, no, there also I was told the same thing. Padh ke aao. That's all. But anyway, what is the question?
The question is, because he hasn't gone into spirituality, he became a leader, and look at where he took Bharat, from 70 years, 75 years of independence. Now it has come to a glory where it's become like a world power, and that is only possible.
If he has given up spirituality.
Yeah.
Don't think that is not a logical way of understanding things. It may be, see, we see external glory, external. Do you mean to say that people who pursue spirituality, they have not contributed? Their contribution may not be seen. For example, I can give you one example of how Swami Vivekananda, this is a small example, but it is very important to understand. We don't know the subtle influence of different people being influenced by just one poem or one work of a great prophet, how it can change one entire life and change millions of lives. So I'm giving you one example. I don't think you have heard of this incident. It is a lady known as Anusuya bin Sarabhai. She is the auntie of Vikram Sarabhai. Vikram Sarabhai, all of you know. We know people because they are all great, but this lady is also great. She was not only influential in, had a great influence on Vikram himself when he was a boy. But this lady who was just in the 7th class, she read the Song of Sannyasin by Vivekananda, and she read it the rest of her life. Every day she used to read that. Though she could not become a nun. Her brother was Ambalal Sarabhai, the famous Sarabhai Mills of Ahmedabad. So this lady was married forcibly, and she was in class 7, as you know. But the in-laws promised her that she could finish her studies. She wanted to do medicine, come to England and study medicine. And her brother was very rich. They were a very rich family, and she was interested in education. But she was married off, in those days they were married off at a young age. So after she went to her husband's house, the first day itself they said, your husband has just passed class 4 and you have passed 7th. If you do medicine, it will not be good. He is a rich person, you don't need to study. We are wealthy enough. So she was upset. She said, you are not keeping your word, and she left the house and never returned back to that house. And then her brother said, okay, you want to study, you go. So she came to England. Unfortunately, she did not complete her medical studies, but she studied law in London School of Economics in those days. Imagine a young lady coming, and all the time she was reading this book, Song of Sannyasins. It was part of Gyan Yoga. She was a Gujarati lady, so she read it in Gujarati, not the original English. But anyway, later on, after going back, she came in touch with Mahatma Gandhi when he was studying here. So she went back and started the first trade union of India, Hindustan Mazdoor Sangh. That was both for men and women. the laborers of her own brother's mill. She fought against her own brother. Being a union leader, she has to fight for the laborers' rights. After that, she realized that the men who got the benefit from this, they were not treating their wives properly. All the money they got, they used to drink and not give anything to their wives. And the wives had to struggle, do hard work, labor work, poor ladies, So she decided not to work for men but only for women. So she started another organization. People don't know this. It is known as the biggest women's organization in the world. It is known as Self-Employed Women's Association, S-Seva. It is based in Ahmedabad, but now it is in several countries of the world. So this Seva empowered women in those days, 1900, I'm talking of 1920, just after the passing away of Swami Vivekananda, even when Gandhi was alive. So that Ahmedabad organization, they even have their bank, Seva Bank, which is run only by women. Everything is run by women. Industries, they give loans. So they are empowering women. So one thought or one poem could inspire. And she says, all my inspiration was because I read this Jnana Yoga. So when spiritual people influence, they don't become prime ministers or presidents. We see the external glory, but how deeply, see, this organization is running for more than 100 years now. It will complete 100 years, and it has empowered millions of women who were tortured or not looked after. They were exploited by their own husbands and society. So they gave them hope, they made them independent, they could earn their own money. So starting a women's organization just by giving one idea, like that so many, Rockefeller's Foundation.
Yes.
Vivekananda influenced that. The whole Rockefeller Foundation, Rockefeller was a very stingy person. If you see his biography, he would not give $100 to his own brother, though he was the richest man in America. He owned the railroad and all. So Vivekananda meets him just for 15 minutes. He had a lot of depression and other problems. So he is taken by a common friend. So Vivekananda just tells him, all your trouble is because you think this money is yours. You are just a trustee. God has given you this money. You just use it wisely. So that fellow got angry because he thought he will teach him some technique of meditation. He says, your problem is not because you are not meditating. Your problem is because you think this money is yours. The moment you think you are a trustee, God has given you this money to use wisely, and that had an effect. First he got angry and walked away. He said, I came to you for some advice, for peace of mind. I am depressed. He lost his hair and other things. So then when he goes home, then he thinks deeply. After a week he comes back and with a big proposal to start the Rockefeller Foundation to help people in poor countries, that saved India also. The Green Revolution, wheat, that was because the Rockefeller Foundation supported it. So he started overnight, this person was transformed. He created a foundation which helped humanity. Norman Borlaug, who got Nobel Peace Prize, says at least 1 billion people were saved because of the research in drought-resistant wheat developed by them. India, Pakistan, African countries, they funded the wheat project, which saved India, saved many poor countries. So you don't know, one meeting, spiritual people when they impact, they don't impact, they don't have to become a prime minister or president or something, or a military general. We see the external things, but in a subtle way they can influence some people who can bring transformation in the world. There are at least 50 examples I can give you. I just gave you these 2 examples. Many of them don't even know who inspired the Rockefeller Foundation. Nobody knows. So Vivekananda has done his job silently and passed away. We don't give him credit for this, and he does not also need credit for this. But what about Ansuya Sarabhai? Seva organization has been serving for 100 years countless women. They have empowered so many women, which no women's organization has done till now. It's still going on, still running by the force of the sacrifice of that lady was inspired by. So, inspiration, when it goes, we do not know, in a subtle way, it may inspire you, it may inspire anyone to do some great thing. We don't know. So if he had become a monk, he could have inspired more people. Who knows? You can't say because he became the prime minister he has. Huh? If he himself said, I'll show you. I have a video. It says, "तो मेरा सद्भाग्य नहीं था, नहीं तो मैं आपके इधर monk हो जाता था, साधु हो जाता." मैंने उस समय, he himself was very humble. He said, "I would have become a monk. It would have been nice." So we don't know. See, the thing is, we should not. I mean, in a way, it is good. What his destiny had, it happened. It's good for him, good for the country, good for all of us. What is destined will happen.
Sir, nowadays it is not possible to be on spirituality.
Not possible to be?
Nowadays it is not possible for us to follow this
Why?
spirituality.
Why nowadays?
Nowadays everything, everywhere is the disturbance is there.
Disturbance
The family
is
is
out.
there.
Huh?
In the family.
Family was
in the
there in
village.
Krishna's time also. There were more serious problems then. Now there is no Mahabharata war. Imagine cousins fighting each other. Problems were there at that time. Problems were there throughout Indian history. You see, so many invasions, so many killings, how much people suffered. Now you are in England, nice family, nice house. What is your problem? You compare yourself to the days of before independence. How many people died? How many people died because of famine?
Bengal famine.
Bengal famine, many famines happened. People died because they could not get food. So they had real problems. Our problems, you are in a nice place. If you want, you can practice. Only thing is you have to find the time. Don't involve yourself. After a certain age, that's what I say. After you become a grandfather, don't bother about grandchildren. Let parents look after the children. Grandfather has no duty towards grandchildren. In our Shastras, they say once the child is 16, in those days they used to start earning at the age of 16. Then father has to forget the child. You be on your own, I'll be on my own. Then he'll get a lot of time for spirituality. Even at the age of 40, 50 you can retire. But now if we go on and grandchildren, then grandchildren, if somebody lives up to 90, he may like to see his great-grandchildren. Then there will be no time. Isn't it? You have to decide. If you really want time for spirituality, you can find out. Even nobody is so busy. We have 24 hours per day. If you just do account, हिसाब करने से पता चलेगा 24 घंटे में तो कितना टाइम तो ऐसे ही जा रहा है.
It's possible still to enjoy time with grandchildren and still have practice spirituality too, right?
No. What's your question?
It's still possible to practice spirituality
Okay.
while still enjoying time with grandchildren, right?
You can, but the thing is, you can enjoy, but you have to spiritualize that also. The same question was asked in the gospel. It's how you treat spiritual, how to integrate it in your day-to-day life. That is important. If you can integrate, then you can even spend time with your great-grandchildren also. Doesn't matter. The idea is that one gentleman, I'll give you the exact incident. He came and said, I have a beautiful grandchild who loves me so much. So he said, what is his name? I think his name was Gopal. Then he said, Sri Ramakrishna told him, then you have your Ishta as Gopala. Think that Gopala has, for the time being, come as that grandchild. But try to see him as your Ishta, as your Gopala. Then loving your grandchild actually means remembering the Lord whom you are worshipping. So that way you can spiritualize that. But if you just look at him as a grandchild, and then you think now after dealing with the grandchild, then I'll go and sit for meditation, then it is not going to work. Then you will get very little time, because there will be time you will spend with child. Then you will be partitioning your life. Some time for children, some time for your families, and some time for reading books, or some time for television. So after all that, there will be very little time left. So you have to somehow integrate this, trying to remember the God. That is why in Gita, if you see, there is a Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Sri Krishna says, don't give up the fight, but remember me and fight. So that's a good way to remember the Lord. You don't have to give up spirituality to love your grandchild. You are fighting. Some people, fighting means, doesn't mean always fighting. Fighting means dealing with all the problems of life. Whether you fight or whether you are enjoying your life, you have to always remember him. Mam Anusmara. So he says, don't leave the battlefield. Arjuna wanted to leave the battlefield, go into a forest, meditate. He said, no, you don't have to do that. You fight. But remember me and fight. Remember me means remember the Lord. That's the idea. That can be different. But don't make these two lives different.
No.
So try to, if you read the Gita properly, you'll get an idea that spirituality is something you have to practice. Karma yoga, that is karma yoga. Then you do bhakti yoga. Whenever you get a chance, say his prayers, say his songs, sing his songs, do mantra sadhana, whatever sadhana you are doing. And then you can do Jnana yoga, try to find out what is eternal, what is not eternal, what is changing. If you put too much mind in the changing things, you will be sad when the things go away. For example, Krishna, when he was with the gopis, Vrindavan, everybody loved him. He was just a young boy, 12 years. All the gopis used to come to him, listen to his flute. But when he left Vrindavan, he never bothered to come back again. He was totally detached. He lived with all, but the thing is, you should be ready to detach at short notice. Otherwise, that attachment causes problems.
We talked about Ananda, when you're blissfully meditating and you're at peace, complete peace. The kind of Ananda I get when I play with the granddaughter or have her around is that kind of peace.
No, that Ananda is definitely the Ananda because you have the feeling that he is my grandchild, isn't it? So that is the Aham and Mama is there. Aham means I, Mama means mine. I and mine, that will give you Ananda. But if you worship or if you consider, if you have one Ishta Devata whom you are meditating, and if you think that Ishta Devata has become that child, he has come in that form, he has come in the Vigraha, he has come in photograph, he has come when you are meditating, that is also imagination. So Thakur Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel that if you consider that Gopala, his name is Gopala, is the real Gopala, try to see Krishna in him, then there will be no attachment. You will be attached to Krishna, not to the grandson. The grandson may go away, may grow up and leave you, then it will not make you sad. Just as they all worshipped Krishna, though they were very sad when Krishna left, but wherever he was, they were always meditating on him. Gopis were not ordinary devotees. When Uddhava comes, Sri Krishna sends him, go and see the gopis. Uddhava thought he is the greatest devotee. So when he comes, they all ask, how is our Krishna? They don't even know that he has grown now, he is 80-year-old now. They still think he is the small boy, 12-year-old boy. Said, does he eat properly? Is he happy there in Dwarka? They are asking him because they have still that old Krishna. It's not the physical Krishna that they remember. They remembered the small boy. So that devotion to your personal God can be superimposed on the people. Somehow connect everything that you do, whether you are eating, whether Krishna says, now whether you eat, whatever you do, dedicate it all to me. It is there in the Bhagavad Gita. This verse is there. I forgot the verse. Or whatever you eat, even the Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahma, we do before eating food. We just say we are offering everything to the Lord who is within. the Brahman that is within, the fire of Brahman. We are doing ahuti. So the whole day, whatever you do, whatever you do, yeah, whatever you eat, whatever you sleep, everything you dedicate to the Lord. So that is one way of practical spirituality. Yeah, you don't have to spend separate time, as you were saying. You don't have to have separate. Now you are listening, that is also spirituality, isn't it? After going back, if you read a book, that is also spirituality. So you don't have to find separate time. Or whatever you heard, you tell your grandchildren. You can tell them whatever you read. See, now you are retired, I suppose.
Yes.
So that's the best time actually. You are totally free. So you read some good books, and when they come, they tell them stories. That way you are. You can use the time usefully, and tell them in such a way that they will not be tempted to see the TV. Your storytelling should be so attractive, they should come to you, or tell me another story. So for that you have to read. So convert that into spirituality. First you are helping the children by not watching useless things. And second thing is you are using your own time in a spiritually beneficial way. For that you have to read. You have a lot of time. Everybody has a lot of time. We don't use it properly. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful talk. Could we have something to take away today so we can go home and process? Just
Something to take away.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the thing is, something to take away from the family context.
Talk today
From the
about
top.
human excellence and spirituality.
Yeah. So, okay, not just a particular aspect. Okay. So, human excellence, as I said, spirituality for human excellence, the main takeaway would be to try to spiritualize our activities which lead to human excellence. We are all trying for human excellence. We are trying to be better than what we are before, isn't it? Every degree that we get or every effort that we make is making us excel in certain fields. If you are a good cook, you will excel, try to make the next meal better than what you did. So we are all excelling. Excelling means trying to excel. But how spirituality can help us, the same job, the same work, the same duties that you are doing, if you spiritualize it, then it will be more excellent. It will be spiritually excellent. Maybe in the external world, people may not understand that you are doing something very nice. You are a good cook, but now you are cooking better. They may appreciate you. But in your own consciousness or in your own conscience, you will feel that I have now, because I am spiritual, because spirituality has become the core philosophy of my life, then I make that excellence. I can convert that work which I do into something that will become a spiritual practice. So that is the takeaway. Right now we were doing it as a duty, but don't do it just as a duty. Do it as an offering to God, offering to whichever God you believe in. Then it transforms the nature of the work. That is the takeaway. Whatever you do, dedicate it to the Lord and see what result comes.
So, with my limited understanding,
Yes.
So when I do something, I'm supposed to do it without expectations.
No,
and
you
without-
can expect. You see, that is the wrong idea. In Gita it is said that don't bother about the fruits.
Yeah.
Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. So very often if you don't have expectations, for example, a surgeon is doing surgery. He doesn't expect any result, then he'll kill the patient. He has to expect. He has to do surgery in such a way that the patient survives. So what does this mean? Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu. Don't bother about the fruit. Don't bother about what fruits you get. Subjectively, what fruits you get, you don't bother. You may be praised. People may just ignore that you have done a great operation. You may be praised, your name may come. We don't bother about that. But you have to bother about the results. You can't work without expectation. You have to work. don't expect anything for yourself, but the result of the work should be kept in mind. If you are doing something, cooking for example, you have to expect that it will be a very good item that you are cooking. Otherwise, what will happen? You will be absent-minded. You'll say, anyway, Gita says, don't bother about the fruits. If I don't put salt, it's okay, people will have to eat. That's not the right philosophy. What it means to, after cooking, say, your children say, oh, it is not good, then you should not bother. It should not affect you. After having done the work perfectly, whether people praise you or blame you or give credit to you or not, that should not be your concern. That is ma phaleshu, means don't depend on the fruits that come to you, not to the patient or not to the people who are eating the food. For that you have to work hard. Otherwise, you see, then if you do carelessly, you have to do work as excellently, with as much human excellence you have, and offer it to the Lord, and then don't bother. That is the difficult part. We, after doing something nicely, we expect somebody will give us gratitude. Somebody should say, oh, it is a nice item, then we feel happy. Suppose somebody says it is not good, then also you should not be disturbed. That is the idea.
So the detachment comes
Detachment,
the more you
yes.
practice spirituality,
Yes,
the
detachment
more
is
you're
very
able
important.
to
Yes.
observe the same thing, whether it's
Yes.
grace or not, with
Yes.
detachment, so it doesn't affect your action.
It affect your actions, it affect your ego.
Ah, it's not easy.
Huh?
It's not easy.
It's not easy, obviously it is not easy.
Thank you.
Spirituality is difficult, like all other things. It's not even easy to earn money, is it? Then, even to pass a do a PhD is not easy. Everything is so difficult. Everything good is difficult.
Yeah, there was one more question
Oh, you
which
asked?
was sent. Yeah, so this is the last one. So they said, if you are looking around, there is so much of, Brother Joe told me, India produces, a lot of Swamis and a lot of IT guys, so like that, the market of spirituality is so ripe and everybody is, is selling spirituality. So one of the devotee has asked that, I'm totally confused.
Yes.
Whom to believe, whom not to believe. So what will be your guidance?
So there are,
for
there
seekers?
is, according to Shankaracharya, there is a Guru Parampara. So there is an authentic spiritual tradition, and there is some, so freelancers moving
Online.
around who do not have a tradition. See, it's always safe to follow a tradition. You want to have a degree, obviously ask the students, they will say, I'll go to Cambridge, I'll go to Oxford. Then if I don't get, I'll go to other. If I don't get, then I'll take any college. That is how in spirituality we should be mindful of this. Why do we appreciate Oxford? Because it has a great tradition of successive teachers who have kept that standard alive. So it is known as authentic spiritual tradition. So you have to see whether the people who are giving you advice or you are taking advice from, whether they belong to a spiritual tradition. This is very important. Even in Shankaracharya, they used to say only that knowledge which comes from a Guru Parampara. Even the Sikhs have this Guru Parampara. Gurus are important because they have learned from their Gurus. So it has to be a Parampara. So this very idea of Guru Parampara in India, that has saved spirituality. But anybody outside of that, anybody who claims, I am a Guru, I am a self-made Guru, you have to be careful. I am not saying they may be bad, but you have to be very careful because it may not be an authentic spiritual tradition. So that is the test. First, it should be authentic. It should have somebody who, at the source, who is himself a great spiritual giant. Like Krishna, you will never doubt. Shankaracharya, for example, the original Shankaracharya, then there will be some dilution as generations come. You won't have the same, you won't expect Christ to be present in all the Christians. So you have to imagine, or you have to find out, go to the original source if it is possible. You don't need these spiritual gurus to teach you. You go to the original source. That is what every genuine person will tell you. Go back to the original source. If I say you listen to me, don't listen to Ramakrishna, that is wrong. Our source is Ramakrishna. We know how he produced Vivekananda and all the great spiritual stalwarts. So whatever we say based on their experience. So that is the authentic tradition. If you say, somebody says, then he has to quote Christ. He can't say I am a Christian without following the principles, or at least without quoting from Christ, the original words. Similarly, Buddhism. Anybody may say, I am teaching you a Buddhist technique. I have seen so many people are saying, I am teaching you Vipassana, I am teaching you mindfulness. Some strange technique they teach. Then we ask them, whom did you learn it from? They said, no, I learnt it from the book. That is not possible. It has to come from an authentic. If it has come from some Buddhist order, it may not. They may not be the perfect representatives, but still they have got authentic knowledge. It has been handed over in a particular tradition, in a Guru Parampara. So that is very important. That is the only test. Otherwise, there are hundreds of people. You see, any meditation, any person reads a book or reads a few books, and based on that, he will start his own technique and misguide a lot of people. So if you follow them, it is your problem. It's the problem of the person who just blindly follows. So 1 minute is there. Anyway, it is nice that you continue your Gita class, because that is an authentic book. The more you read the original, the better it is for you. We can read other books also. There are other authentic books like Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, because they are all established spiritual figures who have interpreted all the wonderful ideas. So those books are the original books, I mean, not the books which a few years ago somebody might have written a book. They will be just wasting our time. Swami Vivekananda says in his Rajoga that time is short, life is short, and books are many. So be careful of what you read. That is one of the most important things in spiritual life. Not read any book, take any book from the bookshelf and start reading. You're just wasting our time. You have to be very careful. If at all you have time to read the original. Again and again you can read Gita, again and again you can read Upanishads. You will never go wrong. You will understand it better every time you read. You read the Gospel. You read it once, you understand it in a one way. If you read again, you will understand it in a better way. So it's better to stick to some basic books than read many books. So you have to keep the authenticity has to be. Okay?